Welcome to Markets Now. I'm Michelle Rook with Scott Varilek with Kooima Kooima Varilek, and we're seeing a mixed trade this morning over in the livestock, at least to start off with a little pressure in hogs, higher in the cattle, and we're lower in all the grain trade. But Scott, I don't know, what kind of reaction did you expect here after the cattle inventory report yesterday confirming the lowest herd since 1951? Is this a little muted for you?
Yeah, it's thanks for having me. But yeah, when you start saying 1951, that's the year before my grandfather had his first bull sale. So we're looking a long ways back at some of these numbers, and I think that's uh, the the move that we're getting from the market here. I mean, we penciled some of this in. Granted, some
I
of
was
this.
going to say a lot of it was priced in already, wasn't it?
Yes, we were overbought and we had a nice run off the lows. Last year's break at the end of the year was brutal, but some of these numbers didn't change. And I think the market kind of knew that. So looking at a lot of 98s, cattle and calves, 98 total cows and heifers calved, and 99 kept for beef replacement heifers. So, I mean, it's still, we're not growing this cow herd yet. That's still the biggest thing that we're trying to fall on. There's been years of low profitability, and it's just really starting to show up now. And then there was some revisions. Not even just this report. We revised the July of 2022 report lower, the January 2023 report lower, July 2023 report lower. All of those revised lower as well. So it's just a lot of confirmation to me that says, we're trending higher. This confirms it. It's not over the top from what the estimates were, but I still think this is our lead dog, lead story. We've still got a shrinking cow herd. And when we get to where we want to rebuild this cow herd, wherever it is, that's when our numbers even get tighter yet on feed when those heifers come out of the yard. So that's no surprise there, but it's going to set the tone for me to looking forward into this year, looking at this trend, and my long term is going to try to look at these markets moving higher and think that we can continue to do so.
You bet. And when we look at the technical objectives of the market, we have hit the 50% retracement level. So now to get the funds to continue to come in here, Scott, what are we looking at for technical, signals for them?
I think signals for them, we started to see some. We've got this open interest growing slowly every day. Maybe we're not near where we would like to be with a really strong, the funds are in kind of market, but we crossed all those moving averages, so we can kind of confirm that, okay, that low at the end of the year is holding. We held that range, and now we're developing this uptrend here. Now we're pretty overbought, so it's a little bit scary of a spot. But I do say bull markets are forgiving, so we can have some of these breaks to try to buy. And I'm not going to be surprised if we get a little correction, even on a day like today where you charge higher on the open and maybe drift back lower. But that halfway retracement you mentioned is important. We poked ourselves above it. We just didn't quite confirm that we've made it through it, but still not panicking lower. We didn't run into a bunch of selling at those levels. So I think if we can hold here, make this nice uptrend line stick, then I think these technicals are going to really look at some of these gaps that we left on the way down. So, I mean, there's some, significant damage that we left in the charts when we broke at the end of the year. And some of those gaps are now going to become targets. And this report's going to kind of confirm that we have the ability to maybe make some of those moves, some of those charges. Deferred markets, they're propped up, higher nicely. And I think that's just kind of confirming these funds are going to look at this market saying, okay, it is still on firm ground and we're still in an uptrend and still quite a ways off of some of those highs. So all of this is looking a little bit appealing. If we can get through last week's highs, I'm gonna put my Spurs back on and start celebrating a little bit.
Yeah. So is cash going to push us there? I know boxes have taken a little bit of a break, but on the flip side of that, exports were better this morning and the weights are coming down. Those are all positives.
Yeah, cash news, that would probably be one of my most positives. Getting a little bit of interest in the country. There's been some higher prices, even a couple dollars higher than some of the last week's prices. So some 176 in the South. Some of the meat bids have crept higher, 278 was rumored yesterday. And then there was a rumor of a 279 call-in. So those are a little better prices. Those haven't been up and down the road where everybody's getting that, but It's going to get a little bit tougher to possibly get a live bid as we move, into some of these yearling cattle that aren't going to grade as well. And plus we've got muddy yard conditions. We've got some melting snow that's going to take a while to melt. So we're going to have some tougher conditions in the north here, just with yard conditions, and that's gonna start to pull some of those weights down. We had them propped up pretty high with our excellent weather, and over the
Right.
last couple of weeks, we've seen some of those weights come down, and we're seeing the comprehensive weights this week. Yep, they're down again. We still have some of those large cattle out there. We've still got cheap feed, maybe a little bit of fighting the market now that we've made it through that cold snap where guys can try to put some weight back on. So there's still going to be some of those larger cattle around, but drifting year over year, I think we can maybe close that gap somewhat and still see some of the break that what the weather damage did to us. And then we'll just have to look forward. It's going to take us a while to dry out, get these conditions back. So probably a little bit of a struggle here yet to come.
Yeah. And you mentioned cash. We've only had really some light trade. We haven't had much volume, right?
Yeah, it's sounding pretty light, but that's kind of been what it's been for the last couple of weeks. It's just,
True.
If you hit here this day and then the next day, I hear a little bit every day. I don't have that one big push where all the packers were out buying everything and everybody was selling and the news was hot. So it's kind of stretching out.
No doubt. Okay, so the hog market in typical fashion here lately has been opening lower, and we did that today, but we managed to close higher yesterday for I think the 8th straight day. Exports were good this morning. Cash index keeps rising. Funds are in buying. How much higher do you think we can go here?
Yeah, it's impressed me and a lot of us that were also supply negative for so long, and now you get a little. I think that export news is a little bit of a shot in the arm here. I mean, those were kind of the rumors that started the rally. Is that there's exports coming, there's some of this business happening, and then that cash is creeping higher a little bit as well. So you can still hear both sides of the story. Some guys that are still trying to get hogs in, trying to get them scheduled, and others saying, yeah, we're not having any problems. But maybe some of that news is turning a little bit. I'm already surprised that we're this high. So for me to pick another number higher is a little bit, I'm making something up, I guess. So if I to be honest with you. So looking at some of those summer months in the upper 90s, yeah, that's pretty impressive. I'm starting to feel good about that. But for the hedgers, the guys that are short, they're getting challenged a little bit, coming up against some of these other tops of the market that we've put in the past. I don't know if it's a time for me to say I need to quick bail out. We're going a bunch higher from here. So seems a little limited from my small view here from how much higher we can go.
Yeah. So grains lower here this morning. And of course, we had a couple of little bit of a rally in corn and soybeans. It looked like end of the month, maybe some profit taking there. So now, first of a new month, are the funds just going to be back in selling here on the strength that we had?
Yeah, and it kind of has that theme already to start, and that's what I always hear from producers is, well, these funds are really short. They got to get out sometime. But they're not just going to get out on a one-day higher move. Those funds are going to be have some strength, and they're going to wait for sure confirmation that a market is turning around before I think they really do some exiting of some shorts. So it feels like more pressure. We've got South America crop coming in. We've got, increased acres down there year over year. So that's a little bit of a struggle. And the one thing that's making me a little bit more worried all the time is just this overseas turmoil. Like, well, what is this? What is the supply chain? How we're exporting around the world, with all of the war talks that are going on and rumors of wars and troubles of moving ships. It's just a little bit of uncertainty on the market. And I think that's just continuing to escalate just a little bit. So I'm a little bit more worried about some of that overseas war stuff than I am what Taylor Swift is going to wear to the Super Bowl. So
no doubt. And then we had a marketing year low in soybean export. So that probably speaks to what you just said about shipping disruptions.
Yeah, it's just a little bit more uncertainty. So, and we've got a strong dollar as well. That's not helping our getting grain moved, because we're going to need that demand story to get us out of some of these levels. So I'm not feeling real great about the grains as far as having much of a chance to rally here until we can get into some new news and maybe that spring acreage or something like that.
Okay. All right. Thanks as always. Scott Varilek with Kooima Kooima Varilek. That's Markets Now.